lived up to the hype that he had when he came up. But I'm interested to see with this kid. I don't know. I got to be completely honest with you, Aaron. I don't know anything about him. But I know for him to be in the major leagues at 20 years old, I mean, that's Juan Soto type stuff. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with him.
Well, he's one of their top 5 prospects, Chappie, and I know he came up through the Carolina League. There you go.
Of course, there it is.
I follow him because of that. But because they have the Carolina League covered. And it's interesting how they send like one big prospect through a year, it seems. And that's who it was. A couple years ago, it was Garcia. And now he's getting his chance. And that's the thing. Injury brings opportunity. And look what's happened in Atlanta tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, Acuna's out. Markakis now is on the IL with COVID. Interesting there, isn't it? He wasn't going to play because of COVID. Now he's
kind of ironic.
I mean, isn't it though? And look who they call up tonight. Look who's up now.
Yeah. Your boy, right?
My boy, Pache, yes. Let's give him a little cheer on the network radio. How about that? But, going back to, I want to talk about both of those. Garcia is the second-ranked prospect in the Nationals chain, a 55 hit tool, a 55 run tool. We know that's a better than average.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about the power, but remember Frankie Lindor. I know it's a great comparison, huh? But he didn't come up with a power rating either.
Right.
So he's going to get that opportunity. But Christian Pache with the Braves, their number 1 prospect. Now he's been in Atlanta. Injury breeds opportunity. Yep. Pache's going to play every day.
Yeah, and he should. He should. The Braves are in trouble, though. I mean, that's the thing. Like, they've lost a lot of firepower, and they're asking an awful lot of these young kids. But I'll tell you right now, I mean, defensively, he comes in and he's a top 3 defensive player in the majors right off the bat. So you couple that in with a little bit of speed, some. He's more of a double hitter at this point in his career, right? But he looks good. Especially, you got to watch where he hits in the lineup, right?
Well, you got to figure they're going to hit him down the order to start with, don't you think?
Right.
I mean, just to take the pressure off. Sure.
But if he performs.
I mean, I guess you'd have to say right now, Kyle Lewis for Seattle has by far been the most outperforming rookie so far called up. A little surprised. We're going to see what happens with Carlson in St. Louis. He's going to get plenty of opportunity because they got double headers out the wing, Wayne. You know that.
Yeah.
And now Pache, yet another. We saw a pitcher tonight in Detroit. Not quite what we had hoped for in a debut. But that's what Lenny says. I go back to the legend. A rookie is what?
Yeah. Repeat it twice.
A rookie. But some of them are special. And we know through the years, like last year, Houston brings up a kid at midseason. You and I talked about him a month before he came up.
Yeah.
We knew that was going to be a special player. Yeah. And they're going to be special players still yet to come. We've avoided talking about them because, well, frankly, there's so many up now to already talk about.
Yeah. And can I just add into the Jordan Alvarez discussion?
Sure, please. He's on the IL again, by the way.
Exactly. And I think that, have we all forgotten about how good Kyle Tucker is? Because he's not very highly thought of right now, right? And we're talking about a player with 30-30 speed and a 300 potential. He had the homer that he hit the other night. I was watching. He pulled his hands in and basically jerked it out of the park. I mean, that's a pitch he wouldn't have hit 2 years ago. He wouldn't have touched it.
No.
And he hit it out of the park.
No.
So we're talking about a 30-30 player with, let's call it 280 average. Where you draft him?
He just doesn't have the flair, I guess, Chappie, right? I mean, you're right, though.
He's totally unimproved. Nobody knows him. Like, we've all forgotten about him.
We know last year he was a 30-30 guy at AAA. We know that. And you should only get better after a season like that. And with Alvarez on the shelf for at least 10 more days. Probably beyond that. But at least 10 more days. He's a big winner. I tell you, another big winner there. Josh Reddick. Reddick has the opportunity now to play every day. Highly talented prospect coming up with the Red Sox. Just never has really put it together. He's had it in streaks. But don't you know Houston's looking at Altuve hitting his paltry 150.
Yeah.
And they've got Brantley on the IL. And now these two guys are prime position to produce and lead.
Well, I'll tell you. I mean, it's interesting what's going on with the Astros because they're really they're floundering a little bit, right? But they've had some interesting blurbs. They just have to put it together. And you're fooling yourself if you think Altuve is not going to hit them.
Exactly. He's too good.
It's just exact. It's a really tough situation for them because they kind of have that. They've done well on that, cocky attitude, and the league ain't putting up with that crap this year.
No. Well, we've seen fights break out already, Laureano, and they're going to break out more. We're not done. We're not done with that. It's not over. Wait till Oakland plays Houston again.
Yeah.
It's not over. And I can't wait for Mike Fiers to pitch against the A's one time. Against Houston, excuse me.
And I'll tell you, that's just, all that stuff, to me, that's WWE stuff. That's all for show. That's not what gets me going. What gets me going is seeing some of these kids. What gets me going is watching Mookie Betts these last 2 weeks.
Wow.
Players like that are just really feeling it.
I was going to ask you.
Watching Arenado come out of his slump like that, that's the things that I really enjoy. Like these guys that are just you're going to see it with Altuve. He looks absolutely god awful right now. Guy's a 350 hitter.
Well, there are two players I'm going to get to. I'm sort of building up to a crescendo here because you are my wingman and you've got to look after your wingman. Here's a question for you without looking. I looked at before the show. There are 3 teams coming in right now as we speak. You look at the standings. They have W6 to the far right side, meaning they've won 6 in a row.
Yeah.
Can you name them?
No.
Now, one of them is going to change tonight if something doesn't change drastically in the Bronx. Here they go. The Yankees, 6 in a row. Of course, they just played Boston.
Right.
The Dodgers, 6 in a row. Shock. And the Astros, 6 in a row. Without good batting. Without their top pitcher. Without a bullpen at all.
Yeah. I picked up that Scrub kid.
Yeah.
Scrub.
Yeah.
And I love it. He's been great for me. I'm one of these holds leagues. It's funny they're doing it with smoke and mirrors. But, again, to the point, these guys are all going to – Alvarez aside, which is a shame, right? Mm-hmm. It sounds like he's out for the long term. These guys are going to turn it around. And when they do, Greinke is having a great year.
Well, they were nothing to nothing through 7 innings today, Yeah. And Greinke's on the hill just mowing them down.
Right.
I think they had first and third. I think Hampson led off with a single to right. There was another hit the first inning. They had first and third. He got out of that. And nothing hardly. I think he allowed 1 hit over 6 innings after that. And I'm not a big Greinke guy. You know that.
Right.
But Greinke was big today. Here's another one just while we talk about standings. I'll just not even ask you. I'll just tell you. How surprised are you that the Arizona Diamondbacks now have a W5 in the far right side of their standings. And they've moved up. Look at this, Chappie.
Yeah.
They've passed San Diego in the standings. And San Diego's kind of the flashy team. Arizona reminds me more of a blue-collar kind of team, you know?
I've watched a lot of Arizona. I mean, and I'll tell you that they have Zach. I talked earlier. Zach Gallen is should be in the running for Cy Young this year. He's just he's really underrated, and people don't talk about him because he's out west. You look at guys like, Marte's having a good year. Peralta's having a good year. Merrill Kelly is a good pitcher, aren't they?
Yeah.
That's another thing. You look at, Escobar's putting in overtime trying to fix this stuff. He's starting to come on. Walker's hitting the ball hard. You want to talk about a team. We all talked about it at the beginning of the year. You want to talk about a team putting it all together? They could be dangerous. Now, Bumgarner's been terrible.
No doubt.
Anything from him would be a help. I don't know if he comes back this year or not, but, you paid that guy a lot of money to come in, and you're getting nothing from him. But, they're piecing it together, and they're not a bad little team.
How about Robbie Ray, who still hasn't come? I mean, they're not doing it with Ray or Bumgarner. Ray's not performing, and Bumgarner's not playing. And they're still winning now.
So, I talked about it earlier. I know he's tipping his pitches.
Robbie Ray. Yeah, I heard you say that, yeah.
So he was double tapping his glove, and when he came out, the pitchers were able to see his grip, and that was telling them what they were pitching. So he changed that the other night, and he had a no-hitter. He struggled with his command a little bit. As you can imagine, when you're changing your motion, you might. But I think he works on that. He refines it. I mean, once you identify things like that, how you come out on the other side of it, I really like what Robbie Ray's offers from here on out.
Ketel Marte doesn't play today. They beat the A's 10-1. And look what they did to Frankie Montas. Check out this line, Chappie. Innings pitched 1.2. Hits 6. Runs 9. Earned runs 9. Walks 4. Strikeouts 1. Home runs 2. Frankie Montas, arguably, before today, would have been in a Cy Young discussion.
Yeah.
And the Diamondbacks just unload. And I'm looking at the middle of that order. Starling Marte, traded from Pittsburgh, is now hitting third in that order and hitting .361. You think he's comfortable in the desert?
I said it. Listen, I told you. As soon as it happened, I told you. Here's the thing. He's been playing in a lame duck situation for the last 5 years. You take a guy who takes pride in what he does, and he takes pride in what he does, and you put him in a situation where all of a sudden competing. You give him good, competent coaching, and the other fact that people don't take into account, he's Dominican, right?
Right.
Dominicans like what? Warm weather.
Warm weather. Hot weather.
Every year in Pittsburgh, he'd start out cold, and you're like, what the hell's going on with Starling Marte? Then all of a sudden, you look up, he's hit 280 because he's been hit 340 for the last 2.5 months. Maybe this year you just see the 340 version.
That's what we're getting, and I think that's why now you're seeing. You told me, was it last week or 2 weeks ago, you asked me how many home runs had Arizona hit? And the answer was 1.
It was 2.
2.
It was 2. Yeah.
Today.
Yeah.
Today, Chappie, they hit 2. But it wasn't who we just talked about. Nick Ahmed.
Yeah.
Very unheralded. 3 for 4 today with a homer and 5 ribbies. Another home run from Calhoun. Calhoun goes 2 for 4 today. They're coming around. And there's just something about that Diamondback team.
Good
Look,
coach.
I think they make the playoffs.
I do too. And we talked about it at the beginning of the season. It's not